So those of you guys who are watching my videos, you guys already know that I'm in Kuwait. I work in Kuwait, I live in Kuwait, and we got the Kuwait Towers right behind me. But most of you guys don't know where Kuwait is, and Kuwait is located in the Middle East, in between Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and the Persian Gulf. As a Tesla enthusiast, it came to a surprise that here in Kuwait, the amount of Teslas here are super rare. Sorry, not super, extremely rare. There's so little Teslas here that seeing once in a blue moon is like seeing, a Lambo and Lamborghini in downtown Toronto. That's how rare Teslas here in Kuwait. And I want to get to the bottom of this, of why there's no Teslas here in Kuwait. So as you guys already know, I'm a very, very curious person, and this is the first video I'm gonna be diving deep on why something, doesn't have something that we all like, which is Teslas. And especially in Kuwait, where Kuwait is probably one of the most richest country in the world, has the strongest currency, no taxes, and has lots of sun. So you would think that solar would boom here, but it doesn't. And we're gonna see why. So if you guys are ready, man, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. This is gonna be a very interesting video. Let's go! So doing some research here, there's two answers that I came up with. And answer number one is a bit triggering, and you'll find it pretty triggering there as well if you don't have an EV. Answer number one is gas prices. So gas prices here in Kuwait are super cheap. How cheap? Well, it's gonna trigger you. Each liter is about 105 fils. And fils is like the cents in the US, and the dinar is like the dollar you guys can think about, but it's much more powerful here compared to the dollar. We'll talk about that in a bit. But right behind me, we have the biggest gas station, one of the biggest gas stations here in Kuwait, and the average price for a liter is 105 cents, or 28 cents in US dollars, or $1.28 per gallon. Does that trigger you enough? Personally, for me, when I'm in Toronto and I fill up a full gas tank, it's about 50, 60 bucks. But compared there to here, it's about $20. So if you compare that to an EV, to a full charging station, a full charge fuel for an EV, that's about the same rate, if not cheaper. So the argument of why there's no EVs here in Kuwait yet kind of makes sense. So I just filled up right now, as you guys just saw, and I paid only 3 KD for 3/4 of my tank almost being emptied. So that's not bad. That comes down to maybe like less than 10 bucks US. Sorry if you're feeling triggered, man, but hey, welcome to the Middle East. Now, if you're all wondering why gas is so cheap here in Kuwait, that's because Kuwait is literally sitting on oil. And I'm talking about a lot of oil. This small, tiny country has a lot of tons and tons of oil. How much? 6th of the world oil reserves and 10th in the world of oil production. Sheesh, that's crazy. It's also 95% of Kuwait's export and 50% of their entire GDP. That's flippin' insane. And yes, it's nationalized, so the people of Kuwait enjoy the low gas prices. And also mix that in with a low population of 4.3 million people, and you get yourself the world's most strongest currency. About 1 KD or Kuwaiti dinar is about $3.28. That's in flippin' insane. And yeah, by the way, there's no taxes here either. Sheesh! So that was reason or answer number one. Answer or reason number two is that in Kuwait there is no EV infrastructure. As mentioned before, in Kuwait the population is 4.3 million, where only 30% of that is locals that actually do live in houses. Majority of them at least. The rest of the population, 70%, live in places like this and park like this. As you can see, there's endless apartment buildings here, and well, there's no parking lot in the basement or underground parking lot, so they have to park anywhere and everywhere that they can find. It's just how it is here in Kuwait. So then you would ask yourself, how would you be able to charge your car when you are parked out like this and there's no outlets to park in? It's not possible. You just can't. The only solution to this is to have superchargers in key spots like gas stations across the country, and that would be a great idea However, this is the only EV charger in this entire parking lot, in this underground parking lot. And yes, it's the only Tesla branded one. Sheesh, that's flipping crazy. I couldn't find any other Tesla branded here in Kuwait. I'm sure there is, I hope there is, that's open to the public, but this is the one that I see here. And I believe there's one in every single floor in this entire parking lot. There's 3 floors, but every parking lot here could hold up to like 400 to 500 cars, if I'm not mistaken. This shows you how little EVs are in Kuwait. However though, there are other EVs here in Kuwait. They're just not Tesla branded. So as you guys can see right behind me, there's an EV station right there that can fit up to 2 cars. The company here who's doing it is called Charge Kuwait. And it's a very interesting and smart location right next to a supermarket, which hopefully we could see more and more on this as we go forward. The only differences between this charging station and Tesla supercharging station is that, well, for Tesla supercharging stations, you just go and plug it right in. For these type of stations, you would have to bring your own cable for that. But sheesh, that's pretty darn interesting. We got people in Kuwait already thinking about the future of EV here, which is pretty smart. So I got curious and I contacted them. All right, this will do. I asked a few questions, well, 5 questions, and here are the answers to it. The first question I asked is, why do you think Kuwait is not switching to EVs as fast as other countries? And they replied with, the initiative started by the government in 2018 and committee that included most government sectors, themselves charge, and other private companies was created to put rules and regulations for building EVs in infrastructure in Kuwait. The aim of the committee was to speed up and ease the transition to EVs, but due to slow process by the government and the pandemic period, it still hasn't finished its process or progress. This year, they are trying to speed up the process and hopefully see progress by Q3 or Q4. So cool, that's great news. You know, Q3 is literally 3 months from now. So let's just say, 6 to 9 months. Let's see if there's any improvement here with EVs. So that's going to be pretty darn interesting. The second question that I asked is, based on the current locations that they have now with charging EVs, how popular have they become? Meaning that are they being used more than yesterday or not? And this is what they answered. They are becoming very popular nowadays, especially the first rapid DC charger we installed at the Scientific Center. Sheesh, I gotta go check this out. Yeah. And they finish off the sentence by saying that as most of our users looking for rapid chargers, which makes sense. When you're at a place, you're trying to charge, you want to be in and out 10 to 15 minutes, even faster than that. I mean, if it takes longer than 30, 40 minutes, it's not really convenient. So rapid DC chargers is a clutch. So that's good news there. The third question that I asked them is, what do you think is the future of EVs in Kuwait, and will they ever transition to EVs, and if so, when? The definite way is EVs, no doubt about, as most manufacturers is switching to it. Facts. Also, transition will be quicker if EVs picks up as a trend or social media influencers talk about it and adopt it more, which is true. Here in Kuwait, man, everything is word of mouth. So if someone likes a particular something and they talk about it on their social medias and that spreads like wildfire, that's it. It's done. That's the culture of Kuwait and how it really moved forward with their business. But here's the important part that I found extremely important, because we spoke about this earlier in the video, is the last part of this sentence. He's saying that plus an increase in fuel prices will be a key point, and I 100% agree with that. As we mentioned, $1.28 a gallon, 33 cents per liter for gas. That's the same price as charging in most countries. So if this price increases, if the fuel prices increases and charging becomes a whole lot cheaper, then EVs will definitely be more attractive for customers. But since we're in a country that is oil rich, I think this will take a long time for that to happen. For the fourth question, I asked how many more EV stations is Charge planning to build in Kuwait for the next 5 years. This way I can find out if there's actually demand in Kuwait or not. So let's see what they said. And they replied with, we are trying our best to push more chargers around Kuwait, especially DC rapid chargers and hyperchargers, which this would be a game changer because you can just charge it within 5, 10, 15 minutes. Compared to 30 to 45 minutes. It's a big difference. But we are waiting for the government to put more rules and push the public and private sector to install these chargers at their premises. As mentioned before in this video, the locals here in Kuwait can do it. But the expats, foreigners like I am, who's living in a building, we cannot do that. So this would need an infrastructure change. And again, I think this will take a very, very long time in Kuwait. So although they are saying they are pushing as hard as they can, they didn't mention any numbers, so we can't go based on that. But it seems to be very clear here that the demand here in Kuwait for electric vehicles in general is still not there yet. We're still a long way to go. And these guys, Charge Kuwait, are moving accordingly. Can't blame them. They're doing their best. And the last question I have here for them is, as a Canadian, I usually drive a Tesla. When I'm back home, I do rent out a Tesla because it's the best thing to do. I mean, why would I rent any other car? But anyways, I can charge my Tesla at home or at many charging stations all over the country because they're available. When do you think Kuwait will have enough charging stations so I don't have to worry about charging? Now again, it's the same question as question number 4, but more detailed about the availability of charging in Kuwait. And their answer is, as we assume, you know that North America and European markets are pushing into EVs and charging infrastructure through different strong initiatives by their governments to enhance transition to EVs. Facts. Unless such initiative will be applied here in Kuwait, it might take a little longer to have enough charging stations. And I 100% agree with these guys, what they are thinking. Pretty much what they're saying is the government here is not really, they don't really care about EVs at the moment, and the push is not there, which makes sense. They don't really need to do that. With low gas prices, and obviously the country is floating on flipping oil, they don't really care about changing to EVs at the moment. And consumers like you and me who's living in a country like Kuwait, it's much more convenient to have a gas car because everything is just there. For example, if I have a Tesla here in Kuwait and something goes wrong with the car, I would have to send it to UAE to get it fixed. And that's not cheap. So I can see why EVs here in Kuwait aren't really making that much of a big difference at the moment. It may change in 5 years from now, so we have to wait and see. So this was interesting, and shout out to Charge Kuwait for actually answering my questions. Although I much preferred an interview one-on-one, it would have been a cooler video, but nonetheless, I know you guys are busy, and I really appreciate you guys to actually answering my questions. Now, what I get from these questions is that, well, the only thing that's holding these guys back to growing a whole lot bigger in Kuwait and actually EVs becoming thing is the government. As referring back to their answers, they're saying that the community hasn't really agreed on how to transition to EVs yet. Hopefully in Q3, Q4 of this year, that'll be the case. But who really knows, because this is Kuwait and me living here for about 7-8 years, it's probably going to take a whole lot longer than that. But this is just only the infrastructure part here in Kuwait on how they're planning to grow it and, expand it as much as they can. Now, the only thing that I'm curious about, that I really want to know, is how is it actually driving here in Kuwait with an EV? What's the hassle? How's the charging? Does it turn heads? For a person like me who's like searching for Teslas every single day, I probably see one every month. So it's really difficult to find someone here who has a Tesla. But I think I found the lead. And let's hopefully see if I can get this guy on camera. So let's see what happens. Let's contact him. Welcome to my office, everybody. This is the first time showing my office. Well, kind of, really just showing a corner of it. But anyways, back to Tesla. I found a few Teslas here in Kuwait, and after trying to call them and even WhatsApping them and messaging them, not really interested. I don't know what it is. Companies and people here in Kuwait don't want to be interviewed. They don't like to come on camera for some reason. So unfortunately, we can't seem to get anybody who has an EV here in Kuwait, or preferably a Tesla here in Kuwait, to tell me the experience of it. We're gonna go ahead and call Tesla Dubai themselves, and let's see what they say.
For English, press 1. Thank you for calling Tesla. Unfortunately, our offices are now closed.
The next day.
Your estimated hold time is greater than 15 minutes. All our lines are busy at the moment. Your estimated hold time is greater than 15 minutes.
Bruh.
Hello?
Hello, yes, how can I help you?
Alright, so I just called Tesla Dubai, and after waiting, I think I was on hold for about 25 minutes. I mean, sheesh. I mean, that means they're having demand. I mean, they're busy. They're getting customers in the store. And looking at their Google Maps, it's usually busier than ever, and I call it the busiest time. But nonetheless, I called them to get information on how I can get Teslas here in Kuwait. I am a customer in Kuwait who's interested to get a Tesla. How do I do that? What do I do? Who is this individual? And after giving me some guy's number to get the registration done in UAE, and that's fine, getting it done in UAE is fine, but then bringing it to Kuwait has its own issues, because here in Kuwait, expats or foreigners are not allowed to import cars. Because for expats in Kuwait, they're not allowed to import cars or anything like that.
Oh, well,
Yeah. So that's the issue. Another issue here is that if the vehicle has warranty or something gets wrong with it, you have to ship it back to UAE. If there's any warranty on the vehicle or if something happens with the battery, do I have to send it back to UAE to get it fixed?
Yeah.
Oh. That's unfortunate. But to wrap up this video, man, thank you guys for watching this far. The message that I have for the Tesla team or even Elon Musk, if they're watching this, man, come on, man. Try to figure out a third party here who is willing to have the same qualities or respect the qualities of Tesla. There are a number here, but do it sooner than later because here in Kuwait, there are other EVs coming out like Porsche Taycan is here and they're slowly but surely coming into the market. I mean, Tesla's not here. They're not really dominating as much as other regions. But other car companies that are slowly moving to electric are slowly dominating here. Mercedes, Audi even. I'm just like, wow, I can't believe I see Audis here that's electric. Porsche Taycans. So come on, Tesla, man. There's market to be gained here. And you, and as a Tesla shareholder, and you know, as Tesla, as I want everyone to drive a Tesla as well, you guys will dominate here very fast and very quickly. You just gotta have everything in place. Service, the warranty, and everything else in the country, not shipping it out to another. But I'm confident that they'll figure out something, Tesla will figure out something, and there will be Teslas here in Kuwait. I just don't know when. And well, there you have it, guys. This is why there's no Teslas here in Kuwait yet. And I really hope yet is correct. So let's see what happens in a few years time. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys found informative. I know you guys don't really care about Kuwait. It's a very small country and most of you guys watching this haven't even heard of the country Kuwait. Probably it's your first time learning about this country. And if you guys found this video very helpful and very informative and entertaining as well, then I would really appreciate you guys if you guys could smash that like button and subscribe for more. In this channel, I try to exploit my curiosity. Lately, it's been all about Tesla because I just love Tesla. I love the brand, everything, the cars, everything about Tesla. So my curiosity is big on that. But I have other things coming up that's not regarding to Tesla that I think you guys would find pretty darn interesting too as we go forward with this channel. So again, smash that like button and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.